Yes, guys, that's correct. The final episode, guys. It's been a long, long journey. 30 episodes going straight. And now we have the final one, guys. Part 31. The ending episode of What If Naruto had the ultimate nature bloodline. As usual, guys, just chillax and relax because new series will be coming out soon for you guys to enjoy. But I just want to say thank you for enjoying, for liking, for commenting, for reviewing. So yeah, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto is one of the one of a kind prodigy and enjoy that, guys. Over in Anime King 2. And yeah, guys, I have 3 channels. If you're new, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post with fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So what do you say we get into this new final episode? Start the intro. So the last part we left off, it was bad. Madara Uchiha was proven to be detrimental to everyone. He was taking on Sesame even with her Mangita Sharingan. She still could not stand up to Madara with his Rinnegan. And his Sano was quite powerful than hers. But she was holding her own as Sasuke was brutally smashed. So was Kakashi and so was Jiraiya, leaving him badly wounded as Sakura and the others had to heal him. As Nandi and the other medics were making their way towards the scene. Things were bad. The light show had died down. And no one knew where those 2 tremors came from or knew what the hell was going on. As Madara was about to finish off Sesame when she was taken away as Madara was blown away. He was hit by something powerful. As Sesame opened her eyes to see that she was being carried by Naruto, who smiled at her. It turns out that he got his emotion back. He then dived into his memories of what had happened. After becoming one with Kurama, his eyes came to him in the form of Mito. As Naruto knew that was a Mito. It was a test. So was it 2 previous users. The eyes wanted to see if they could overcome all that power and see what they would choose. But in the end, Naruto chose the power instead of getting back his emotions, because he would risk becoming a stone, an empty stone, to save his family. As his eyes were shocked, there's been 3 wheelers so far and Naruto was the only one to choose the correct path. With that, his emotions were returned along with a full activation of his abilities. So he was like 10 times stronger now, not to mention with his bond with Kurama. But he was not the only one. Menma had tapped into something that Hoshirama was not able to. He had tapped into the very core itself of the earth. Menma was able to tap into the very life essence, not the nature life essence. Drawing on that energy, it was beyond immense. As him and Naruto arrived on the battlefield, Madara was starting to enjoy the battle until Edo Tensei wore out. Itachi had lost an eye. His father had lost an arm. His father had to use a secret technique of the Uchiha, trapping Kabuto in an unescapable prison until he found out who he was. And thus like that, the Edo Tensei was released. But Madara stuck himself to the earth as he cancelled the jutsu. As Naruto and Menma fought him, Hoshirama was able to create 1,000 arms, but Menma created 10,000. Naruto brought forth 9 tails and he was powered by his nature energy. It was large, even larger than Menma's technique, as he just had to show off. They were able to pummel Madara down to the ground. While that was going on, Minato faced off against 30,000+, as Raikage and Tishikage was bringing everyone to decimate the remaining forces. But Minato came to their final stop. But still, Minato was just one man. While strong and powerful, he was still one man, and he was eventually defeated. Meanwhile, Naruto was able to bind Madara's body to the ground, while Menma ripped his soul out so the body did not go along, as they end up cancelling and forced him to enter back into the afterlife. As Madara was happy though. Despite him losing, he had a good fight. Yes, it was an amazing fight. As for Obito was pissed off, as he was going to end this one way or another, and his opportunity was coming very very soon. We then skip back to Minato as he was gonna die. He was tired. He had cuts along his body. His left arm was badly burned. He was on his knees in front of the army, with the Raikage about to take his head off. It was then that Minato noticed one of his three-pronged kunai started to glow, the seal on it that was. As the Raikage was coming towards him as he saw his life flashing in front of his eyes. The man was inches away from him as he said a final goodbye. So yeah guys, that's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the play sector for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. It happened so suddenly. One moment the Raikage was about to take Minato's head off completely. The next moment he was sent sailing, as B had to outstretch an octopus limb to save him. As B settled him down, the Raikage mouth was bust open as he wiped the blood off his lip. The man grunted in frustration and rage. The Raikage eyes were incredibly fast. He was able to see what happened before he was hit violently, yet he could not stop it. The dust cloud started to slowly dissipate that was gathered in front of Minato. When the dust cleared away, Oniki clenched his fist. As Kurosaki was right beside him, she narrowed her eyes. Yujito, who was standing beside B and the Raikage, she remembered flashes of memories when she was younger, as that blade that came for her neck to take her head off. There they stood, the two most powerful warriors in the world right now, Naruto and Menma, in front of the weakened Minato. Minato glanced up, as Menma turned towards his father and held out his hand. His palm started to glow green. Minato felt a strange energy wash over him. Slowly his cuts started to heal and sizzle, as they started to vanish completely. All of his wounds, his burn, completely vanished, but his body was still exhausted. Naruto, Menma. As Minato was confused. How are you here? He asked. We never wanted to be a copy of you. We wanted to be our own man, said Naruto. That is why we never studied the Harashin. But we did look it over once or twice. Not to make you feel bad or anything, father, said Naruto. But your sealing formula is nothing compared to the level that we're currently at right now as seal masters. Minato chuckled at that. Leave it to you to say it blunt out like that. As he smiled. I knew that you two would handle it. Judging that you're here, I figured that you defeated Madara. He's gone now, said Menma. There's nothing to worry about. As Minato looked forward at it still, thousands of ninjas. As Naruto started to move. Wait, as Naruto paused and looked back towards his father, and Minato saw a small smile on his face. Don't worry, everything's gonna be alright now. Menma flashed to us at fan time before slamming his hand down. A giant golem rooted out from the ground and picked up Minato and pulled him back before he could say anything else. As the both boys turned their head towards the battlefield. As Naruto was the first one to spoke, as the Raikage and Oniki stepped forward. Both the Tishikage and the Raikage will die. The rest of you will be able to go home, return back to your families, your villages. Your shinobi program will be disbanded. Your borders will be swallowed up by Konoha and the Hidden Sand Village. You will be integrated in our power. Your people will not be used as slaves. A courtesy on our part. There will be no more 5 hidden nations. There will only be 3. Your tail beasts now belong to us. All of you bow, and those terms are the ones that you receive. But the old man and the Raikage will die. There was silence, until Shinobi started to laugh. Who the hell does he think he is? It's just 2 of them, let's slaughter them. The Raikage narrowed his eyes. You might be strong, boys, he said, but against this army your father failed against, you will not win. Oniki, said Naruto as he ignored the Raikage. I told you what I would do to your people. what I would do to your home once I win this war. But things have changed, and I'm feeling a bit courteous. So I'm gonna give you the chance of surrendering, but I'm gonna take your head, and your home will be disbanded, but your people, right here, your shinobis, will be able to see their family. Tell them to stand down and bow, and they will survive. Oniki spat. We rather die than serve under you. But in this situation, I'm afraid that you're out, and you will be the one to be losing today. If you surrender, I promise I will offer you to a swift, painless death. But your village will be subjugated, and your people will be used as slaves, Oniki said a smirk. Seems you don't understand, said Naruto. As Naruto turned towards Minma. He's being courteous, Minma said. Take it, and all of you won't have to die. But if you don't, none of you are going home. As more people start to laugh, who the hell does these jokers think they are? Let's kill them! As Yujito and B moved forward, they stood beside the Raikage and Tishikage. As Kurosaki stepped forward, as Naruto's eyes landed on her. Seems you have chosen, said Naruto. The ground started to crack underneath him, as energy started to swirl around his body. The rainbow color exploded outwards, ruffling Minma's hair. As Minma tapped into nature energy, the lines on his face started to glow green. As the two boys started to walk, kill them! As the army moved, thousands of ninjas charged forward. As the top guns stood back, they must be weakened first before they jump into the fray. The ninjas did not hesitate to just jump at the enemy. Bringing everything they got, they threw everything. The two boys charged. As they slammed into the group, an explosion went off that knocked away 101 go as Onki floated up in the air. As Naruto was faced with 10 shinobis in one swing, all of them lashed out with their blades. He simply flared his chakra as their bodies were crushed down to the earth, unable to bear the weight of his chakra. Crystal shards appeared in his leg with one swift kick. He decapitated them all. Naruto dropped in a horde of enemy like a bomb. Lightning exploded out from his pores, burning them into crisps. Minma slammed his hand down as hundreds of wooden spikes erupted from the ground, slaughtering hundreds, maybe even 1,000 in one go. As Naruto flashed through hand sign, he gathered a large amount of chakra in his throat. Fire style, he said. Collapsing sun, as he spewed a wave of fire that startled the enemy forces. Hundreds of water users, literally hundreds, moved forward as he spewed water from their mouth. The fire clashed with the water. To their complete shock, the fire started to increase. The degree started to increase to the point where it started to change color and turn white as Naruto kept on spewing the fire from his lips. The fire changed color 3 times, first into white, then red. Then it turned into a golden color. Not the normal looking fire turned golden. The water users were shocked when they started to burn. The water started to evaporate, and thousands were incinerated in the blast. Hundreds of Earth-style users slammed their hand down, creating massive walls to block the fire. But those walls were pulverized when thousands of trees rooted from the earth, tearing through their flesh like it was paper. Thousands more were killed as Naruto leaped up in the sky. Minma used the Mokidan to incinerate thousands. Minma slammed his hand down as he sprayed roots. Trees, flowers started to blossom on the ground. The ninjas felt their body going weaker and weaker. Onki cursed as he saw his ninjas falling. The trees were sapping their chakra. Destroy the roots, he shouted, as ninjas rained attacks down on them, but it was too late. Hundreds were sucked dry. They then looked up as they heard a screeching sound. Everyone went blind for a moment. As Naruto was in mid-air, he was literally flying with the usage of wind chakra. A ball that was as large as the meteor that Madara had sent down. A ball of nothing but untamed power. Most of the enemy forces dropped to their knees in fear, pissing themselves. They could not understand how could two people alone do this, as Naruto threw it. But before it could hit home though, blue flames smashed into the ball. It exploded in mid-air. The eruption decimated hundreds. But that was good because if it had touched surface, thousands would have been wiped off the map. As Naruto gazed, firmly set on the two-tailed transformed Jinchuriki. As the beast started to gather a massive Biju bomb, ninjas separate dashing through it. The massive Titanic bomb was sent sailing right towards Naruto and Menma. Menma stepped forward, his hand transformed. His hand transformed into a massive wooden arm. Seals appear all over it as he slammed right into the ball. A barrier appeared around the explosion. It contained it. The wooden arm contained the explosion as they shrunk it, until it was the size of a baseball. The seals contained it. Menma twisted as he threw it before releasing the seals. The explosion went off right in the crowd, decimating everything around it. A distance away, Minato was being held by the golem. Minato was shocked. He knew his boys had gotten stronger, but he was not expecting this one bit. This was a slaughteration. This was not a battle at all. The enemy force stood no chance. Once the smoke and everything clear, out of the 30,000+ that was remaining when Naruto and Menma first arrived, there was only 15,000 left on the field. 15,000 shinobis were wiped out in a couple of minutes. And the boys were not done yet. There was a raw explosion of chakra. The 8 tails transformed immediately as he felt it. As a massive 9-tailed beast emerged, Killer B in his 8-tail form shot forward. The two titanic beasts smashed together, the 8 and the 9 tails, as Naruto was surrounded by the ethereal glow as he was in the center of the 9 tails. The 9 tails slashed out and smashed into the 8 tails, who braced himself. The massive 2 tails then came landing right down Naruto and biting into his shoulder. Naruto reached around and grabbed onto the 2 tails and smashed it into the ground. He then used the 8 tails tentacle and flipped it, dropping it right on the 2 tails. Menma was swarmed as all the remaining shinobis run after him, as he released a massive pulse of chakra that blew them back. Mixed with wind nature, their bodies were reduced to shreds, the one to the front. As for the 9 tails, both 2 and 8 tails jumped him. But as Naruto released more power, his tail started to change color, as his frozen tail appeared and stabbed right through the 8 tails. One of his tentacles got skewered. It was frozen within seconds. The beast cried out as the 9 tails smashed both hands right on his head, crushing it down into the ground. The 8 tails had the upper body strength as it grabbed the 9 tails around the waist, picking it up and slamming the 9 tails in the ground. The 2 tails then jumped forward, but the 9 tails stretched out and grabbed onto the 2 tails. As Naruto then rose, with the both of them, he actually rose, as he lifted the both of them up at once using tremendous power as a flicker of rainbow started to flicker through the massive fox cloak. He then leaped up in the air before twisting and dropping them like a bomb. But he did not drop. His wings came from his back. Both tail beasts got up as he started to charge Biju Bomb, Naruto doing the same as he pumped his nature engine inside of it. The 3 bombs went off as they smashed together the 9 tails power, completely overpowering both of them. The attack went off like a critical explosion. The entire place went completely white, as everyone was deaf by the sound. They could not hear a damn thing or see a damn thing. Once the smoke cleared, the 2 Bijus had returned back to their human form. Luckily, they were still standing. Yujito was bleeding heavily. Her left arm was completely torn up. It seemed to have taken the brunt of the hit. After all, they shared the same pain with their Biju. As for the 8 tails, his glasses were smashed, showing his eyes. There was a slice on his stomach. His body had singes all over it. Both of them seemed to be at the end of their rope. As Naruto's Angel Ball was just that much stronger, mixed with theirs, the explosion had really crippled them badly. As Naruto's eyes caught sight of the Raikage rushing towards them to save them, he moved. Uchito latched out with a claw to tear Naruto's throat open. He tilted his body. The tail beasts can always be reformed. As a claw passed his face, a sword poofed right into Naruto's palm out of his storage seal. The eight-tail brought his hand down to crush Naruto's skull that was encased in lightning. But he was too weak to move at his full speed that he wanted to move at. As Naruto redirected the punch by slapping the arm, with wind chakra breaking through the lightning. The Raikage was there within seconds, but it was too late as Naruto's blade sliced right in her neck. He did not hesitate as he took it clean off. Her body dropped as the Raikage sent a powerful punch as Naruto ducked, moving before the man could hit him. The man twisted and launched a kick that seemed to ripple the air right towards the back of Naruto's head. Naruto brought up his hand as the kick slammed into his guard. He did not move. He grabbed the Raikage's legs and twisted and slammed him into B, knocking the both of them back. Chakra started to pulse from Uchito's body as the chakra started to pulse dangerously. Before, her body was floating in mid-air as all the chakra of tail beasts exploded out of her and flew up in the air before flying off. One down, said Naruto. He had to flick back several times as the area in front of him was impaled with massive, sharp rocks as he looked to see. None other than Kurosaki as she slammed her hand on the ground. A mountain of spikes erupted from the ground, forced Naruto to jump away as he got lost for a moment there. He landed on the tallest spike and flipped off, only for him to be caught right in a strange spear as Naruto looked up. Got you now, said Oniki, as the spear went off. Naruto's body was shredded. Menma stopped what he was doing as he snapped his head around. As Naruto was gone, Menma then focused back on the fight, as he seemed to not care. That confused many of them. I told you, if I saw you again you would die. Kurosaki froze as she felt her heart stop. Kurosaki Oniki screamed as she turned. Slice! Her left arm was cleanly took off as Naruto raised his feet and stomped in her throat. He slammed her neck down to the ground with so much force as his feet grind into her throat, crushing her windpipe. He brought his blade down and drive it right through her skull. No hesitation as she was dead. He ripped out his sword and tossed it towards Oniki, who flew out of the way. Oniki's eyes went murderous as he brought his hand together. He created a massive cylinder in his palm as it spewed. The dust released energy to wipe out everything. Even his own shinobis got caught up. Even Kumo shinobis got caught up in the attack, as the attack was coming right towards Naruto. To Oniki's shock and surprise, Naruto did the same thing and fired back a particle style right towards him. The two attacks collided and cancelled each other. I have it all, said Naruto as he held out his hand. 9 tails materialized behind him as they all formed into hands. Those 9 hands created massive rustling shuriken and launched them in all directions, wiping out hundreds in the process. As Naruto rocketed off the ground, Oniki's arms transformed into rocks. As Naruto's fist smashed against it as Oniki tanked it. Rock bullets exploded from his palm, slamming into Naruto. As Naruto was sent plummeting down to the ground, Oniki flew down. Oniki flew down as his hand created a massive lock arm as he lifted above his head and brought it down to crush Naruto's skull. Before he could hit Naruto though, Naruto tilted his head as the ground was decimated. The Raikage appeared as his feet was about to crush Naruto's spine. Naruto tilted over as he flipped his body in the middle. He was now between the two Kages. He lashed out both legs and knocked the both of them away. A sizable explosion went off as Menma was on top of a massive golem. 3 massive serpents were around him as they were all releasing a massive ball of energy from their mouth, decimating the forces. The Raikage regained his bearings rather quickly as he quickly shot back towards Naruto, who leaped right over the man. He almost crashed in Unki as he slapped Unki out of the way, as he couldn't stop himself in time. He then turned himself and launched himself right towards Naruto, only for Naruto to twist at the last moment, as he was now empowered by Sage mode mixed with his natural energy from his bloodline and his already sizable strength, as Naruto boot slammed into the man's face. The Raikage though grabbed onto Naruto's leg and twisted Naruto as he placed both of his feet right at Naruto's neck, and he held him upside down and started to spin as he was gonna drive Naruto's skull right into the earth. The both of them dropped like a bomb, but a surge of chakra went off at the last moment. When the smoke and dust cleared, Raikage was pinned down to the ground, a tail on his stomach. The man exploded out of the ground, his hair flying wildly in the sky, his body charged with lightning all over. As he moved, his hand outstretched, as B appeared behind Naruto, his hand outstretched as well. As the both of them were about to take off his head, and they were fast. It happened within a second. They never expected him to release a jutsu so quickly, as both men's hands were inches away from Naruto's neck, but they were stopped. 4 crystals were through the Raikage's stomach, and 4 were through B as well, stopping them. The more they pushed, the more blood leaked from their wounds. As the crystals were coming from Naruto's stomach and arms, he was like a porcupine. He broke them off as he stepped away. The Raikage and B dropped, as Naruto had to leap right over the blast Unki sent his way. Both the Raikage and B was knocked away. As Naruto jumped back, Menma landed right beside him. Their backs were facing each other. Seems like it won't end, said Naruto. Once we break their leadership, it will. Let's go after the Kage, said Menma. As Menma turned his sights towards both of the Kage, so did Naruto. Both of the boys nodded as they rushed forward, as Naruto brought out his blade once again, as he was going straight for B in the Raikage's head, but Unki destroyed the area with a particle style jutsu. As Menma flashed through hands and created a massive tree that rose so high up in the sky, it seemed to dwarf the entire place. The tree started to spit out wooden bullets that started to pierce down ninjas that tried to get close to them. As Unki had to move back as he was in mid-air, Naruto flashed in front of the Raikage, who lashed out a fist despite his wounded state. He wasn't a Kage for nothing, as Naruto's fist collided with it. Naruto's fist shattered the bones in the man's hand. He was empowered by Sage mode, and his natural energy was so much stronger and giving the Raikage a weak state. He wasn't able to tank Naruto punch like earlier because his body was not infused with nothing but lightning. B brought out 2 tentacles as he pushed the shards out of him, as Naruto fired 2 magma balls that slammed into his chest, forced him to cry out in pain as the shards were settling inside of his stomach move. As Naruto went through handstand, wood style. Nativity of the Sea of Trees, he said. Trees erupted from the ground and entangled both of them, and they raced in army towards their position. A large portion of them were caught. The Raikage could not move and he felt his chakra being drained by the branches. B was losing consciousness fast, as he was bleeding a lot more, as Naruto seemed to have hit a main vessel or something inside of him. The Raikage eyes were looking dull as well. As Naruto stepped up towards him, the Raikage spat in his direction. Still won't give up, even when you're about to die, huh? As Naruto shook his head in annoyance. Remember, you started this war, not us. As Naruto threw his sword, it pierced right through B's skull, tearing through his brain. As Naruto brought the sword around with magnetic release, as it split B's head in half. A portion of the eight-tailed chakra was siphoned off by the branches, but his consciousness and some of his chakra escaped, fleeing off to reform somewhere else. The Raikage cursed as Naruto grabbed him by the head. The man was barely holding on to consciousness as he lost so much blood. Naruto slapped him across the face. Look at me, said Naruto, as Naruto looked him dead in the eyes. I have no mercy or compassion for you. You started this war. I gave you out despite you starting this war. Many Konoha ninjas, many sand ninjas die as well. And this all could have been avoided if you didn't start this damn war. if you didn't come after my people. Do you think I'm gonna care for you now? Do you think your pitiful state is gonna cause me remorse? Naruto heard a boom as he looked. Oniki was slammed viciously into the ground. Several wooden spikes were pierced through his arms and legs as Menma dropped. A Rasengan slammed into Oniki's chest, tearing his heart to sunders. As Naruto gripped the Raikage's throat and slowly pushed his blade right through the man's forehead, the Raikage cried out in pain before he went silent. As Naruto wiped the sweat off his brow, as he catch his breath a bit, the cloak around him faded away as Menma walked up to him. As Menma was also panting a bit, his sage mode getting less greener. Outside there was at least 10 wooden clones of Menma and 10 wooden clones of Naruto fighting. The trees that surrounded them was giving them protective leverage. No one could get inside. As Naruto sat down and so did Menma as they crossed their legs. The both of them started to calm their breathing, releasing such high, dense techniques were sapping their chakra. But not to mention what was going on outside. The trees were still taking their chakra to fight off the enemy. Not to mention each of them were using 10 wooden clones. And those clones could not just die. They had a portion of their chakra that they split equally between all 10 of them. As they calmed themselves down, Menma started to bask in the glories of nature. Once again his limbs started to get empowered as he bathed in the nature energy. Energy that came from nature, nothing else. The pureness of nature, it was so full of life. The trees around him started to actually get smaller as Menma started to absorb it into his body. It caused his muscles to bulge, his eyes to get greener. It caused his hair to stand on edge. His eyes were pulsing with so much energy, the place was literally cracking. His body started to glow green, like he was radioactive. As Menma slowly got to his feet, as for Naruto, his cloak flickered back on. The veins under his eyes deepened as they went straight down to his legs. As a chakra, the nature in the chakra started to flush through his body. His eyes started to soar even deeper. Let's end this. The 10 clones leaped away as they went around the area. All of them flashed through hand signs they used all of the chakra which Naruto and Menma gave them, which was a lot, and they erupted a massive wall. A wall from wood style that swallowed the entire area like a dome. Both Menma and Naruto stepped forward towards the few thousand, probably 6,000 shinobis that were remaining. Most of them looked tired and hopeless. Let's end this, said Naruto as he held out his hand. Menma bumped fists with him as their chakra connected. Something strange happened at that moment that shocked everyone as they felt a surge. The two boys actually fused for a moment to create some kind of monstrosity. The boys were gone completely. Left in their place was a massive, strange being, if you could even call it that. The thing had tentacles. No, they were tails. It had over 20,000 tails. 20,000. And on each of those tails' end were hands. Those hands had sharp spikes on them. One of those spikes were big as a 2-story house. There was a face of a fox with all color eyes. And there was a face of a Buddha with 2 hands in the center locked together in a prayer. The fox hands were extended to the side as they were covered in this strange, glowing energy that seemed to be saturating the air completely. The thing stood tall. One of the arms waved as the energy was released. 1,000 shinobis were wiped off the face of the earth as they were caught up in the blast. The fox head roared as all 20,000 hands shot forward. Those hands came down like a rain. Everyone dropped their weapons as they realized this was the end. As everything went off in an explosion, the barrier could not sustain it. The wooden barrier exploded outwards. The allied shinobi forces, as they were a distance away, the San and the Konoha, They were a very far distance away, and yet all of them were blown off their feet as a massive attack wipe. It just spread violently. Massive shockwaves that seemed to tremble the very earth itself. Once everything was clear, the technique started to break apart as it shattered, revealing the two boys who were inside as they collapsed down to the ground. The wooden golem that was holding up Minato disappeared. Luckily, he was able to gather some chakra, as he was able to stand back to his feet, but he was a distance away from his boys. And he couldn't get there because every single tree from Kunai was destroyed. So he had to run there, as Minato started to run towards them. But it would take him a while. The golem had bring him a far distance away even though he protested. As Menma was lying on his back, panting heavily, as Naruto looked at him, before grabbing his hand and pulling him up. "It's over," said Naruto. Before Menma could say anything, a swirling vortex sucked him away, as it was cut off before Naruto could be pulled into it. As Naruto snarled, it was then that the masked man appeared behind him. "I can't get any leverage in Konoha because of that damn seal, preventing me from entering near the village at all. I won't go there just to be trapped. And even though out of our prime, the Red Death is still something dangerous." As Naruto looked towards the masked man, rather calm, Menma found himself in a strange dimension. A smirk came on his face as he slowly started to go through hand signs. Meanwhile, on the outside, Naruto sat down. "You want the renegades," said Naruto. As Obita snarled, "Let's not play this the game. Give me what I seek, or your brother, you will never see him again." "Let me ask you a question," said Naruto. "If you kill Menma, why would I give you anything? You kill him and I would just be angry and eventually destroy the eyes so you would never get them. If you haven't noticed, I'm a rather selfish person. And if you do that, you will never see Menma again. I will take him and I will keep him as a prisoner until he dies of old age, torturing every day until you give me what I want. So unless you want your brother to suffer for his remaining lifespan, I suggest you give me what I want." As Naruto chuckled a bit, "You know, my mother told me that Obito Uchiha was a kind fellow. Funny, and goofy as hell. Kakashi considered you as his best friend. He talked about you with nothing but happiness. My father was so sad that you died, as he thought that he failed to protect you, but yet you turned into this little whiny bitch because you didn't get what you want because the world is unfair. This world is hateful. This world is dangerous. There is nothing as peace in this world, no matter how hard you fight for it. In the end, people have to die. People have to be commanded on what to do, because if they don't, well, there will never be peace. And you think that you can change that and bring peace? You know nothing," Obito said. "Give me what I want. This is the last time I will ask you." As Naruto smirked when you look at his palm, he slammed his hand on the ground. A wide barrier spread out, entrapping Obito. "You know, you should never let a Fuinjutsu master talk to you for too long." As Naruto got to his feet and ran forward, Obito stood there, not even phased, as he was about to make Naruto phase right through him. A cracking sound could be heard as his mask was obliterated by Naruto's fist. As he was thrown, he crashed on the ground violently. Obito didn't understand what was going on. Boom! A fist smashed into his gut, picking him up off the ground as he was launched in the air. Naruto appeared at his side and knocked him back down to the ground. Obito spat out blood as he got to his feet. What did you do to me?" "I told you," said Naruto. "You should never talk to a Fuinjutsu master for too long." Obito opened his swirling vortex. Inside there was Menma sitting down. Seals were all over all the cubes inside as they were glowing. Menma got to his feet. As a violent shockwave was released, Obito cried out in pain. What the hell? As Menma simply stepped out of the swirling vortex, Obita spat up blood. He tried to anchor it, but he was shocked as he was thrown back. His Akatsuki clothing being burned, his gloves being incinerated. Obita spat out more blood. What? What did you do? Why can't I use my ability? I always figured, why can you just teleport like that in such an instant? I figured that you can't just be flashing away, like my father. Your technique is quite different. All Uchi has a special, unique technique. When I realized that Kakashi and you have the same, that is where I forgot your identity. But, if you should know, I have mastered space-time ninjutsu. When it comes towards Funjutsu, I know everything about space and time. It's quite easy for me. I spoke to Menma the moment I found out. Because out of everyone else, he's the only one I trust to tell. I will let the memory of the others, of you being a decent person when you were younger, die with them. They won't know. I won't tell them what you turn into. We won't tell them. At least, you can understand that, said Menma. We don't want them to know that you turned into a disappointment. Obita spat up more blood. You're not going anywhere either, said Naruto. The ground opened up a distance away as Black Zetsu snarled in anger. Once you enter this barrier, you can't leave. I felt you, said Naruto. You were using a strange technique to go through the ground like a mole. I knew that you were following him. This barrier is being powered by my chakra. And it's a rather hard one to keep up because once you enter, you can't leave, no matter how hard you try. So let's finish this, shall we? As Naruto moved, and so did Menma. Obita snarled as he raised both of his hands. Boom! As Naruto's kick slammed into his guard. The kick was too powerful as he was thrown back. He flashed two hands and released a swirling fire that came down towards Naruto. Menma jumped in the way as he released water from his mouth, cancelling the attack out. As Naruto burst through the smoke and grabbed Obita by his face and smashed him into the barrier. It did not break or anything. Obita surely felt pain though. As Naruto threw him towards Menma, Obita flipped him in the air and lashed out a brutal side kick. Menma brought his arm up and tanked it before wrapping his arm around the leg and snapping it. Obita cried out in pain and agony. Spikes erupted from the ground. As Naruto cursed as he jumped away, he looked towards Zetsu. Oh, I forgot, said Naruto. He'll be angry about this as he bit his finger and went to answer. Summoning Jutsu! Poof! A massive cloud appeared. A growl could be heard of anger. I thought I told you to summon me to have some fun. And yet you summoned me this late. I bet everything is already over. You forgot, didn't you? Sorry about that, Mufasa, said Naruto. Mufasa snarled. He looked around. What have you called me here for? For this little rodent? He's a big trouble. He's a part of this whole manifestation of this war. We need him dealt with. And I believe that you were the only one that could handle him. Don't butter me up, Naruto, said Mufasa. You promised me that you will call me for the good stuff. And you call me for this rodent. He sighed in annoyance. Well, I'll take my time as he turned his gaze towards Zetsu, as the lion showed his sharp teeth as he moved. Meanwhile, Menma grabbed Obita by the left arm. Obita lashed out with a brutal right punch, but Naruto grabbed his right arm. The both of them then forced his head down to the ground, rupturing his skull. As blood started to leak from his forehead, they picked him up and slammed their fists into his chest, throwing him backwards. Menma created two wooden spikes and he tossed them as they pierced right through Obita's shoulder as he dropped to his knees. He tried to get up, but Naruto stomped in his right leg, shattering the bone as he dropped down, crying out in pain. Naruto grabbed him by the face and sliced him across it with his blade as Obita cried out in pain. Don't cry, said Naruto. She didn't cry when you stabbed her. Menma drove his heel in the back of Obita's head, snapping his skull into the ground, as Naruto picked him up by the back of his neck and beat his head down to the ground before grabbing him by the shirt. He then tossed him towards Menma, who roundhouse kicked him straight into the ground. As Naruto then kicked Obito in the stomach, as Menma kicked him back, they knocked him back in front before Naruto grabbed his right arm as Menma sliced it completely off. Obito cried out in agony as he dropped and screamed. The both of them then smashed their fists into his face until his face was swollen beyond recognition. As Naruto then gripped him by the neck, they then stopped. Obito muttered some words, he could barely talk. "Don't worry. We didn't say that we were gonna kill you," said Naruto. Obito was confused by that. "Death would be too good for you." Moments later, Zetsu was being torn apart as a lion burned him with flames, extinguishing him from the earth. Obito was gone. He was nowhere to be seen. As the barrier dropped, Naruto dropped down to his knees, exhausted and relief. It was at that moment Minato showed up. "Naruto, Menma," he said, as he rushed over. He rushed over and hugged his two boys. "It's over, father," said Naruto, as he had Obito's mask in his hand. Minato blinked. You got him?" "We won't be seeing him again." "Who was it?" said Minato. "We didn't get the chance," said Menma. Naruto grabbed the mask. He hit his face. "We just extinguished him." Tears came in Minato's eyes. The man was the one that took his daughter away from him. As much as he would want to kill him himself, he was just glad that his boys were okay. "Stop crying," said Naruto. "That's not fitting for a Hokage." "Yeah, you should really man up, Dad. I mean, you don't want to look like a crybaby in front of everyone." Minato blinked as he looked towards Menma. "You too?" "Well, he's kind of right," Menma said. "Of course I'm right," said Naruto. "After all, do you want to be known as a crybaby of the Elemental Nation?" As this caused Minato to laugh, as Naruto burst out laughing as well. The rest of the group finally arrived after a few minutes of them talking. They were able to convince Minato that they incinerate the masked man. Minato felt like there was more to it, but the man was gone, his family was safe. All he could do now was pray to wherever Minato was that she was happy, and they will see her soon. The group finally arrived, as everyone came there, expecting a fight only to receive none. Sesame pushed her way through the crowd. As she saw him, cheers and celebrations went on, as people were happy it was over. As Sesame walked straight up to him, he smiled when he saw her, but she just walked up to him and grabbed him, as she pulled him into a fierce kiss. There was a lot of cheers in the crowd, as many people were whistling. Menma was tackled as Sakura hugged him, as he grabbed onto her and hugged her back. As Minato was happy, his two boys were happy. This war was finally over. It was finally done. Time skip. Years later, as two small children are currently making their way, the girl had bright red hair like her father, but there was no blonde in it at all. It was just long and bright and red. She had black eyes like her mother. As she was smiling, she was wearing a black dress with blue flowers on it. As she and her brother made their way, her brother on the other hand, he had blonde hair, but there was black highlights in it, with two bangs coming down in his face. He was wearing a green shirt with black pants. As the both of them on their short stubby legs were making their way, they were just 5 years old as they were holding each other's hand as they walked. They were actually running. As he finally arrived, as he pushed open the door, "Grandma, Grandpa," they said. As he rushed inside and leaped, the boy tackling his grandmother and the girl tackling her grandfather. As he caught her, a fearsome man he might be in the past, but now, "Oh, my cute little Mito-chan," he said, as he tickled her. One of his arms were wrapped in bandages, given the fact that he lost it in the war, and that arm under there was something that was new. The world was moving into the more technological world, and that arm was a expert model, and Fugaku was one of the first to get it, given that he had some personal ties with the Hokage. As he held on to his sweet little grandbaby, Mito-chan, named after, well, Mito. As she simply smiled to grandfather. As for the boy, he was being hugged by Mikoto, as she played with him. They always loved to come to visit their grandparents. Given the fact that they spend most time with Kushina and Minato, the other grandparents, they were always there and playing with them. So coming out here to spend more time with their Uchiha grandparents was a lot of fun. The boy was Yaiko, a name that both of their parents seemed to like, and they gave him that name. It was after the events that happened a few years back in the Hidden Rain. Conan was freed. Jiraiya, being the wanderer that he were, he went with her to the Hidden Rain. All of the ninjas that were there, they managed to get them back in line. Conan was able to somehow run the village with his guidance. As Jiraiya couldn't just leave her out to dry like that, he's been there for her, as a close mentor, a sensei once again. The both of them had learned about the name, that was Naruto and Sesame. They named their son Yaiko, they liked the name. Their two babies were from three major bloodline, the Senju, the Uchiha, and the Uzumaki. Given the fact that they were still infants, they were born with unnaturally strong bodies. They were incredibly strong, especially the girl for her age. They had no prior training. The times were peaceful right now, but they want to be awesome ninjas like their parents. But still, they had no prior training, yet they were strong. Well, given the bloodlines, there ought to be some kind of strength there. Mito could use chains, just like the former Mito, and that always brought tears to Naruto's eyes. A lot has happened in the past few years, as the two grandparents coup over their little grandchildren. They spoiled them rotten, and the two kids loved it. As for the village, it has been 15 years. 15 years since the Fourth Great Ninja War ended. The first one to be born was Mito. She was a bit older than Yaiko, as he was born soon after. They were born after 10 years. The couple had reunited. There was a lot of, issues to sort out. For one thing, they almost lost Naruto. There was a lot of mental scarring from what he had done when he was emotionless. No one could do so much and just return back to normal. Yes, they all killed people in the war, but before the war, Naruto was a monster. The things that he done, the dangerous deeds, the dark things that he did, the people that he slaughtered came back to him. He had to go through therapy. There was a lot of nightmares. There was a lot of night screaming and attacks from him to his wife. It became bad, but with the help of his family and a long couple of months of self-journey, he came back fresh and clear. It took some years, but he came back, and he returned as the Naruto that they all knew, the Naruto that they love. Sesame never stopped loving him. He had spoken to her father and gotten his permission, as he liked Naruto. He liked him a lot. As for Sasuke was now the head of the police force. He had a beautiful daughter known as Sarada, as he got married to Yoko Uchiha. She was a cousin of Damien. Damien became, he said that he couldn't love again because there was only one girl that he ever loved, and she was taken. He was jealous, but there wasn't really much he can do about it. Sasuke was happy with a wonderful life. As things was good, Itachi had taken over as the clan head. As he was in charge, his father had retired. He was no grandfather. After surviving so much wars, he was resting. Minato and Kushina were in their late 40s. They had also retired as well. Minato was a Hokage. Kushina was just happy to be a wonderful grandmother to all of her babies. As for who had the position, that was none other than Menma. As Naruto had told in the past that he wasn't fit for the Hokage's job, Menma on the other hand, he was fit for it. Menma had gotten married to Sakura. They had two girls, Satomi and Hiruka, two beautiful daughters which he loved so much. Menma just adored them. Given the fact that the world was currently peaceful, there was not so much things to hold him up at the office, but sometimes he was late, but he always made up for it. He loved his daughters. Both boys had become the two most powerful ninjas in the Elemental Nation. And with their standing, no one stand against them. As for the tail beasts, the 5 and the 4, and the 8, and the 2 tails were free. As Naruto had promised Grandma back in the past, he would free him. With his knowledge and full jutsu, Naruto was successfully able to free him without killing himself. Where were they now? They were all on Uzu. Uzu was protected by so much seals. No one could go there. No matter who you were, you couldn't step foot on Uzu. Despite losing the Nine Tails power, Naruto was still one of the strongest. But still, Menma kind of catch up to him in power now. They end up fighting. They had to stop midway because they almost decimate Land of Fire. They were at the valley at the end, and their fighting pushed over to the Land of Fire and they almost decimate the place. As Naruto was still tapping into more power that came with his nature eye. So Menma knew that despite losing the fox, his brother was still immensely powerful. Naruto was just glad that he knew that. The tail beast had agreed to work for Konoha, to work with them against any threat that might arise, because they had their freedom. Along with Naruto and Menma Mokutan, they were able to create all the surrounding islands. They were able to link them together and create a massive wildlife for all the tail beasts. And they were protected from anyone in the outside world. It was like they were cut off from the rest of the world, except for, well, Naruto, Menma, and Minato, who could go there because of their knowledge and full jutsu. As for the remaining tail beasts, the 6 and 3 tails belonged to Kiri. The 1 tails was at the Hidden Sand, with the tail beasts given up to Uzu. Kiri and the Sand was, well, they were all in favor of Konoha giving up the tail beasts because they were still powerful even without them. As for the daimyos, the Earth and Lightning daimyo was taking off their position, and Konoha, representative of the noble clans, were placed there. The Stone and Kumo, the Land of Lightning and the Land of Earth, belonged to Konoha and the Sand, who participated in the war. Kiri was also a part of this pack as well, but everyone knew that Konoha was the one that owned everything. The people were not subjugated, as Naruto said. As long as they fall in line, they were not killed. But they were in line though, and their village did belong to Konoha. Some of them were still bitter from the past, but some of them did not care anymore because there wasn't much that they could do. Often, Kurama came to visit Naruto. He was able to shrunk himself into a smaller size as he came by to visit Naruto and hang out, as Naruto kids really liked him. Although, Menma girls were scared. Well, Satomi touched him, but she was still afraid. But still, it was good, peaceful. The world was calm. As for Katsumi, well, she was a ninja now. She was in her early 20s and she already had a stable boyfriend. He was a part of the Inzaka clan. A nice boy who was showing that he had cared about her a lot, given the fact that Naruto and Menma threatened to, well, throw him off of a cliff if he ever hurt her. Well, he promised that he would not. Katsumi was happy. Everything was just calm. As for the 5th Hokage of Konoha and the Shadow Hokage, the both of them were telling this entire story to someone. So everything is better now, said Naruto, as he looked at the person in front of him. The world is at peace. Things are wonderful now, greater than we ever expected them to be. We won. We lost a lot. We lost a lot, said Naruto. But still, we won. And we have found this home to return to. If you didn't start this war, if you had returned back to the village, perhaps you would have had a life. But yet you wasted, said Menma. In front of them, someone was chained down. The person's eyes were missing. His arms were gone. Thick golden chains were wrapped around his stomach. Ethereal chains that were made from seals. The person just looked on lifelessly. Please, kill me. Obito, we told you once before. You don't deserve death after what you did to Mito. You did all of this. You started all of this because you were sad. And you took away someone that could have been here now. And been with us. That could have get to know the rest of our family. Who could have had children. Could have been happy with us. You put us through hell because of your ambition. So killing you would be a relief. But instead you will suffer. Obito screamed. Just kill me already, he begged. The both of them turned. We came here to tell you how everything turned out. We won't be returning. Please, just kill me, Obito said. Just end it. They walked away as Obito screamed in frustration. The both of them exited the space-time dimension that they had created. It was just a barren wasteland, nothing around. Nothing, because it was just a small, tiny dimension. With nothing, no sky, no light. It only light up when they were there. It's not that Obito could see it anyway. They had only visit once when they put him there. And after 15 years, this was the second time they were visiting. And they would never go back. He would stay there and rot. Unable to kill himself, he would suffer. Only be able to reflect on what happened, what he has done, his mistakes. They told him that he would suffer, and he was suffering. Both boys appeared in Hokage's monument as they sat down. As Minma released a sigh, "How are you?" he said. "I should be asking you that, Hokage-sama," said Naruto. "Come on, not you too," said Minma, as Naruto chuckled a bit. "I'm fine," he said. "I'm just glad that this is all behind us. That from now on, there will be no more wars. No chance of losing the ones that we love. As long as they don't start anything, nothing will happen. Peace is now here, but it won't last." "Yeah, I know," said Minma. "But our younger generations will stand up and fight as well. It doesn't matter what this world throws at us, we will never fall." As Naruto raised a fist, as the both of them share a fist bump. "What are you two doing up here?" As they turned to see Katsumi and Kiri. Kiri was the daughter of Itachi Uchiha. Itachi and Izumi Uchiha. Mom and dad are at the Uchiha compound. "So are your girls, Minma. That makes everyone there except for you two. Come on, it's family day," she said. As both brothers smiled at that, as they picked themselves up, and the group made their way off. Yes, everything was wonderful. Suddenly, the place started to riff. No. Mate Naruto was blasted out of this reality. Not this one. I won't allow him to interfere with this one. This one is over now. He's not gonna curl up this Naruto on his side. Let him believe that all of this is real. Let him believe that this is his life. I just banned Mate Naruto from entering this reality. As strong as he might be, he doesn't have the power yet to face me. Perhaps if he united the other Narutos, but still, right now, he cannot face me. Let this Naruto go on." As Naruto walked with his family making his way. Happy, wonderful life. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to make sparks and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to stay posted. But I'm over now, see you guys soon. Peace.